Hey everybody, welcome back to Leadership Labs. I'm hoping these little leadership hacks have been helpful for you. I'd love to say that these have all been learned in moments of still waters and calm seasons, but unfortunately, and I'm sure you already know this to be true, most of how we learn to lead is in the crucible of fire. Today's Leadership Lab is one of those truisms that can be really painful. Today we're talking about the idea of sowing and reaping. So I would imagine you understand the principle of sowing and reaping. Of course, it's in the Bible, but it's also a natural law. Like if we plant apple seeds in the ground, it stands to reason you'll see an apple tree spring up. We sow the seed, we reap a harvest. But a wise farmer knows there are seasons to plant and seasons to harvest. There are seasons to weed and seasons to wait. There are even seasons in which the ground needs to rest and we don't plant anything. Yeah, this whole sowing and reaping thing can be a little bit complicated, but here's where sowing and reaping applies to our subject today. We sow into relationships and we trust that there will be a harvest of leadership. 25 years ago, I was a youth pastor, and I was not a particularly good one, but I could eat 12 live goldfish to gather a crowd. One thing that did matter to me, and this is just because God gave me the ability to see it, but what really did matter was spending time with senior high boys. And there was one boy who was eager and hungry for God. He had lots of questions about life and God, and I had trouble answering lots of them, but I spent time alongside of him. After he graduated college, I didn't see much of him. Later on, he got married, moved away. 20 years later, he and his wife showed back up to Hope City. This was sowing and reaping at its best. He's mature and wise and now a leader in our community. And I was only one of many who sowed into his life, but now we're reaping the harvest. On the other hand, I can't tell you how many people over the decades of leadership and ministry that I've spent hours and hours and hours with helping to shape their hearts and grow their leadership, only for those jerks to move away and serve in another city. My point is that the principle of sowing and reaping in leadership is twofold. First, what we sow in our own life, we will always reap in our own life. Meaning if you'd like to have a greater knowledge of a particular subject or would like to get a certification at work, when you sow to that area, it should not surprise you that you will reap to that area. If you sow reading and leadership development, then yeah, you're going to reap greater knowledge and experience. That makes sense. The other side of this is when we sow into other people, it's a crapshoot if we'll reap any of the benefits of their growth. There's a really good chance, in fact, that you will spend months and years pouring into a young partner at your firm, or disciple a college girl, or train up a promising intern, and after you've sowed and watered and prayed for them and dreamed big dreams with them, they begin to produce that fruit that you knew they could produce, but only after they left. Again, what a bunch of jerks, right? No, of course not, because we know that when we sow, there will always be a reaping. Unfortunately, it might not be for us to see. A couple dangers to note. The first danger is when we stop sowing. We think to ourselves, okay, I keep giving and praying and leading and pouring into these people only for them to leave my company or to exit my team. I'm done. Don't do that. The reason we have to keep sowing into people is because when they leave, they will make their next company or church or marriage a better place because of you. Also, this is just a good reminder, we've all reaped the benefits of someone else's sowing, right? I would imagine some of the best leaders in your workplace or company were developed by somebody else. So let's keep sowing and trust that God will give us the reaping that we need. The second danger is to see people as commodities. When we sow into people, sometimes there's the temptation to see them as a means to an end. We have to resist and war against this temptation. And the reason is because what makes people valuable is not what they produce for us, but simply because they matter to God. So here's just a little leadership application. Send 2 texts after this video. The first text should be to someone who has poured into your life and made a difference for you. You can just say something like, was thinking about you today and wanted you to know how grateful I am for your investment in my life. Then I want you to send a text to someone that you're impacting. You can say something like, was just thinking about you today and I want you to know that I believe in you and I know God sees all the ways that you've been growing. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Thanks again for leading the way that you do in our church and our city.